Lick number 4 is called the 3-note blues. So this is going to be a great way to expand on those guide tones to get some sophisticated sounding voicings. So here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's break down the 3-note blues. These are based on the 3rd and the 7th of the chord. So go back to the very first lick we did with the shells. Take off the bottom note. Take off the 6th string and you're left with the 3rd and 7th. I will tell you this over and over again and through all my courses, how important it is to learn about these notes, how they work, find them on your instrument, what do they sound like. So one thing I'll tell you about this, there was a great guitarist, Lenny Breau, who really mastered this on the guitar, where he could almost comp for himself. And he would use the 3rd and 7th, and he played fingerstyle, so he had his thumb pick, and then he had this incredible dexterity with his fingers, and he would play that 3rd and 7th, and then... Right? So he'd always comp... that's a really bad Lenny Breau imitation, but just to give you the idea, and when you listen to him, so you get a sense of what that sound is. But he got that from listening to piano players, right? So I feel as guitar players, we need to listen to our harmonic friends. We are a harmonic instrument, and that's what this course is about, isn't it? Anyway, learn about some chord licks and harmony. So those 3rds and 7ths, when you hear a piano player like Bud Powell, great bebop piano player, Bill Evans play, a big part of what they do is play the 3rd and 7th in their left hand, and they comp for themselves, right, as they go. And then they solo. But so we can do this too, they play that 3rd and 7th. So this, I guess I'm showing you this one thing as a comping, something you can use as you comp, maybe with a piano player, or just to start to build extended voicings, right? So to have that 3rd and 7th, right? So that's, Bill Evans would do that 3rd and 7th, and then he'd add a note on top. So these are more maybe piano-style voicing. Or also, I'd recommend listening to the great Ed Bickert, guitarist, another Canadian. They got something going on up there with the guitar playing, but they all love Bill Evans in this way. So that's what I have here. This B-flat 7, I'm putting sharp 11 on it. Now, that might be a different kind of sound to you. To me, that is the sound of jazz, that sharp 11 sound. It's what makes jazz unique. And if you hear it with the bass, right? Now, I guess this thing, I guess you might also hear these called rootless voicings. I don't have the root. And particularly if I'm playing with a bass player, there's no reason why I should do their job for them. They do their job for me. I play the chords on top. So anyway, what I'm showing you, though, in this first couple bars, just even with the B-flat 7, I have the sharp 11, or you might call that the flat 5. And then I put the 13 on it, and I move it to flat 13. So just around that 3rd and 7th, I've got all these cool colors. So I guess maybe start to collect these in that way. These are ways to expand the colors and the way you color the chords, right? The vibe that you give to them. So spend some time with them. If some of them sound a little different, or that's great. That means you're learning something new. And then actually later on, I played this B-flat 7/9 because I wanted to show you an example too of when, in the case of the sharp 11, 13, flat 13. These are on adjacent strings, so the texture of them is a little tighter, right? If I play the tension on the top, that's actually a lot more like a piano type voicing, right? There's a split in there. So, for instance, from there, if that's 9, this is a good way to get to know some of these. If you go, well, that's 9, that would be flat 9, or that's 9. So I think through learning this study, you can learn a lot about harmony and how you want to expand on these basic chords. So sharp 11. Then I'm thinking about too voicing. I'm moving that 3rd and 7th down, moving that note up to the 9th. And again, when I get to that B flat 13, flat 13, I'm thinking about that line moving down to E flat 9. So you get a nice chromatic line. And then I wanted to add, give you one of those split string voicings, right? So that interval there is very Thelonious Monk, like a major 7th, in fact. And then, again, you got that motion while that, we use a fancy word, it's an ostinato. You don't have to use that word. You can just learn the chords in the study. And then G7 sharp 9. Now you might recognize that as what we call the Jimi Hendrix chords. I got a little. It is very humid here, so got a little buzz in there. But if I put the root on there, right? Same chord, different context here. C minor 7/11. Right? I like that sound. It's very open sounding. Flat. But I was thinking about moving that line. 13, flat 9. So again, if you have sharp 9 here, you could have G7, sharp 9, flat 9. This is an interesting sound. C minor 6. The sound of jazz also, you might call that Dorian. It's also very funky. So again, all these styles overlap. So C minor 6. And also, so I'm thinking about that line moving. So that's also something to put together, and as you're comping, again, this thing of voice leading. So you're not, I could jump up here to get it, but why should I do that when it's right there? So hopefully this will give you some pathways to be able to enrich your voicings, really know where those 3rds and 7th are, maybe understand a little bit the way a guitarist like Lenny Breau plays, and Ed Bickert and Jim Hall, and also the piano players. When you're listening to a really good jazz piano player, that hopefully this will give you a deeper understanding of what you're hearing or how they're approaching that 3rd and the 7th, and then something in the top or a melody on the top, and then my hope for you is that you can take this, use it in a real comping situation, and then turn it into your own style as you master these 3-note blues voicings. This is lick number 6, Altered Blues. So if you're playing in some more modern or Miles Davis fusion-y kind of situations, you're going to love these chordal licks. So let's check them out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, Altered Blues. Hopefully this will really open your ears to some, I think they're beautiful sounds. They're provocative sounds. Now, you have to use your judgment in what situation you're in, but in a more modern in contemporary type of playing situations, these sounds are very much around us. Oftentimes, there's nothing wrong with being a little provocative. And I'm thinking of this chord here for my E flat 7. I love this E flat 7 sharp 9. It's nasty. This is like Limburger cheese all over the place, right? Because mainly, you know, I have this in there. I love these voicings to me. And if you like these kind of sounds, you got to go to Monk. And also, Claire Fisher is someone who's so brilliant in arranging with these minor seconds, these seconds that rub. They create this vibration, right? They have a serious vibe to them. So this is definitely like a nasty blues sound. So that's what I've tried to include in here. Also, rhythmically, I like to let these things hang there because they are provocative, right? They kind of like, wow, what? That's gonna make someone listen up, right? Like, whoa, what are you saying to me, right? And then, so this first chord, B flat 7, altered. Now, so altered means definitely flat 13, sharp 9. This one, I love this one. I think I got this from maybe some Mike Stern stuff I transcribed as a kid. E flat 7 again, or actually, you know, the bottom. If I put the root on the bottom, there's your Jimi Hendrix chord. But I don't have the root in it. Let the bass player play the root, and I put this 5th on the top. But it's just got, especially for that 4 chord there in the blues. That's typically not an altered blues. So I'm really calling attention to, hey, you know, and this is a very bluesy, like a nasty down low blues sound. And I wanted to share with you this. This is one of my favorite voicings. It's the tritone sub. It's an E triad. First inversion, E triad, or you could use any E triad, again, if I wanted to play it there, but I'm playing it here to voice lead maybe a little closer. Definitely that sharp 11 gives me sharp 11 and the flat 9 on that B flat 7. And so that makes it want to go to that the E flat very strongly. And then I give you that nasty, funky E flat 7 sharp 9 sound. And actually, you know, you might think, oh, that's some jazz chord, but I actually do believe I got that from, you know, maybe some Chicago blues kind of stuff. Definitely makes a statement. Now, here's something that this last section here that I get into, you know, I'm recycling this chord, this B flat 7 sharp 9, that Jimi Hendrix chord. I'm sorry, I go sharp 11 on the top. So not the 5th, but the sharp 11 on the top. This is something that fascinates me because if you see this next series of chords, I'm just moving one note in that voicing. Everything's staying the same, and that becomes G7. Again, if you could see, there's a little triad in there. It's a D flat triad. It's a tritone sub again. So it's like the sister of that one. But it's up here. This time, I have what would be the 5th of the chord there. But this is what fascinates me. I would really urge you to check out Barry Galbraith's comping series, because I learned many of these chords just really fascinated me. Look, I'm just moving my hand. Look, Mom, I'm just moving one hand, right? I'm just moving that down, but it's functioning as G, C, F. That always fascinated me. How could that same shape move, but it's different chords? It's just the same shape, and it's this is C7. Like this is G7 flat 9 sharp 11, C7 flat 9, F7. That's that same sharp 11 flat 9. I could keep it going. I'm just going around cycle 4. So there's something that is very intriguing. Sometime maybe we'll talk about it. Come by for a lesson at TrueFire, a private lesson. We could talk about cycles and how you diminished type chords move down chromatically. So I don't know, just put that in your imagination and we can talk about it at a later time. So we have this, and then I always just love this chord. Talk about being provocative. I have natural 13 this time instead of that flat 13. So again, maybe you're starting to recognize some of these extensions and where they are in relation to the 3rd and 7th. 13, sharp 9. And I use that. You could even do that. Put that little vibe on it. Going down chromatically. There's that sharp 9. Flat 13. I have flat 13 on there. Right? That's the flat sharp 9. There's my 3rd and 7th, right? So also, hopefully this is also, if you worked your way from the other first series of blues licks to here, you're going to see I'm always building, or more often than not, building things around that 3rd and 7th on the 3rd and 4th string, adding stuff on top. F7 flat 13, and then at the very end, it's one of my favorite little open string voicings. D, open. There's my 3rd and 7th, B flat, sharp 9, sharp 11. So hopefully this will give you some more, maybe controversial, provocative, stinky, whatever you want to call them, funky voicings to play on a blues. Lick number 10 is called Move the Diminished. You're going to see this use of the diminished voicing on a dominant 7 chords. It's used in this lick, and there'll be many other times where we can look at this. So let's play through this, moving the diminished on the minor 2-5. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this lick, we're on the 5 chord is where I'm going to address. I'm using, well, even if I get before that, A minor 7 flat 5. This is a what we call drop 2 voicing, all chord tones. But I'm using this melody also to voice lead into this diminished chord. This diminished chord is acting as our D7 flat 9. So this is a chord substitution 101 in jazz, is to substitute a diminished chord for your 5 chord. It'll turn that D7 into D7 flat 9. But also, so the diminished has this great shape to it in that it moves in minor thirds. So what I love about this, you hear this a lot, particularly in Wes Montgomery was really great on this. It's a great way to transition into other places of the fretboard with voice leading and a melody, right? It's very melodic. And it gets me, because I'm starting this line, I'm up in this range, but that brings me down to the this area very smoothly. So I think this is a good, I'm just moving that shape in minor thirds, right? So every time it moves, the notes sort of stack themselves, but they're all, to me, in this case, D7s. And then, of course, you have this shape, and then on the middle set of strings, you could do the same thing. So I think that's the thing. I mean, you could even reverse the orders of these if you wanted to come up with a variation on that. Like, you could go, why not? It's a different melody on top of that. But, again, I love these. They give you just the spacing of them on the fretboard. I like to use these also, just playing through these diminished shapes a lot as a warm-up, just because they do give me the sense, obviously the spacing up here is a little smaller, it's a little wider here. So I feel like if I warm up with these, it gets me really in touch with the geography of my fretboard, right? And also, again, we have that G minor 6 sound, right? And if you look at the top of that, that's an E minor 7 flat 5 there. And again, I always just say that Dorian sound, that 6th note of the 6th, or in this case an E on that G, is really what you want to go for. So on the dominants, in a minor key, you want definitely want a flat 9. And then on the 1 chords in the minor, that 6, G minor 6, or adding that color of a natural 6 on it is the real jazz way. So have fun with that one.